Hi everyone. I hope you're able to hear me. Khushi, are you able to hear me?
Hello, hello.
I can hear you well. Hi there. To
Hello.
everyone who's joining, if you can hear us, you can throw a little bit of a thumbs up. We're going to give about a minute or so to allow everyone to join as we usually do, and then we'll get started. Khushi, how are
See a
you
couple of
this
thumbs
fine?
up. That's
Yeah?
awesome.
Yeah?
Can see a couple. That's good. That's good. How
Good.
are you, Kat? What's
I'm
changed in your
good.
opinions? I haven't seen you.
I'm in the last 2 hours.
Yeah.
A lot. It's Wednesday. We're halfway there. We're halfway there.
Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. The
Mm,
weekend is so close. I can smell it.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's currently where my where my focus is.
Me too. You're
Um,
the one. I'm sure a lot of people in the chat can relate. That's all I can think about
exactly.
on a Wednesday.
I think it's a good thing that we actually do these webinars on Wednesday because it gets everyone to we always
It's
remind
good.
them that it's gonna be halfway and that we're halfway
Good
to Friday.
motivation boost. It's coming soon. The weekend's coming soon, guys. Hold on to your horses. It's
Yeah,
coming. It's
we're
coming.
obviously not gonna change it to a different day. Mm. I think that we still have some people joining.
Yeah.
Um, so let's give it another minute or so, and um, and then we're gonna get started.
Yep. A couple more people.
Um, I think we're good to go. I think we're good to go. Anyone else who joins, the good thing about the webinar is that it is recorded. It's actually sent out via email after the end of the webinar, so you guys will be able to see anything. If you have missed the first few minutes, you'll be able to watch again as well. So I think we're going to get started. So as we usually kind of mention, first things first, everyone welcome to our webinar. This is our third episode. I'm really happy that these office hours are so popular in Vacation Tracker. We have quite a bit of registrations for each call, and that's really great to hear and great to know, of course. And we have a lot of activity during these calls. We tell you about some of the things in Vacation Tracker, and you get to, of course, give us your feedback and ask some questions, maybe put in some requests. So it really gives us a little bit of a chance to chat with you guys on a higher level. So the whole point of these webinars, of course, is to talk about a specific topic. This topic for this webinar is going to be customization in Vacation Tracker, which you may have seen in the email itself. We're going to, of course, cover other topics over the next few months. Each month we have this office hour with a different topic, and we try to cover as many interesting topics as we think people want to hear about and want to talk about. I do want to mention we're going to do something a little bit different with this webinar today. Stay tuned until the end of the topic of customization because I'm also going to mention really quickly the new calendar integration for personal calendars that we just introduced. You may already be aware of the integration that just came out, but I'm just going to mention it really quickly so that everyone's aware of it since you guys are already on the call, and it's something that's been such a highly requested feature over time. So a couple of things to also mention to anyone who's new to our webinars. We do have a couple of polls that you can see inside of this tool. On the left hand side, you should be able to see a Q&A section where you are able to write your questions. Any questions that are written while I'm going through the explanation, we're going to answer at the end. In that section, you can also write additional comments as well. It doesn't have to just be questions. I'll be answering them, and Khushi will be writing out the answers. If we have some additional time, we're also going to go over maybe some other questions that may not be related to this specific webinar. Right next to the Q&A section, you have the polls where Khushi will open up the polls so that you are able to vote throughout the call at the end of the call as well. So
Quick
that's
note there, just a quick note. I accidentally activated the last question already. So if you guys could just hold on to your responses until the end of Kat's presentation, that would be very much appreciated. The other two should be good to go for now. Just a quick little heads up.
Right, sounds good. Okay. So that's basically it. and yeah, again, if there's any additional points requests and we have some time, we're going to cover those points at the end as well. All right, okay. So today we're going to be focusing on an admin view only because we are talking about customization in Vacation Tracker, and realistically, approvers and users don't have access to those settings anyways. So this is on an admin level. If you are an approver or a user, and are in the call, you can definitely let your admins know about the options, and communicate with them further regarding the actual settings. Now, why did we choose the customization in Vacation Tracker? Well, first of all, we thought it would be a good topic. Second of all, people voted and agreed that it would be a good topic to talk about. But also, the point of customization in Vacation Tracker is really important because, as you guys may already know, we have a lot of teams that work with us all around the world, from various industries, various sizes of companies, etc. And what the customization allows us to do is allow all of these different kind of companies that have different policies or similar policies but slight changes here and there, to be able to use one same tool. So our goal whenever we're introducing a new feature or we're working on a new option, or maybe even we're doing an improvement, is to allow some sort of customization, as much as we can kind of, calculate ourselves or think of ourselves in that moment. So do be patient with us, if we don't have that kind of full customization. We do take everyone's feedback into consideration for anything further than that. So what can be customized in Vacation Tracker? I'm going to start sharing my screen, and you guys will be able to see the online dashboard, that is the admin view. And we're going to go from there. We're going to go piece by piece, and then we'll talk a little bit more about some of the details. So just one moment, everyone. Let's see. All right. So if everyone is able to, if everyone's able to see the screen, definitely throw a thumbs up. It should be, thanks, Kushi. It should be visible to you guys now. Okay, so some of the customization that we're going to go through. So first of all, we're going to start really simple. I have to mention this. I wasn't going to, but there was a one point in Vacation Tracker. I'm not sure if there's some teams here that have been with us for a long time, some newer teams. There was one point that Vacation Tracker had a version 1 and a version 2. We switched to version 2 of Vacation Tracker maybe about a year and a half or 2 years ago. And we did something that a lot of teams threw so many complaints about. And it was the fact that we actually removed the dark versus light mode out of the settings just very temporarily, while we were switching these versions. And we received so many messages about this light and dark mode. I'm just really quickly going to mention that that is definitely something you can do in Vacation Tracker and customize your view of the dashboard. It may seem something that's such a small piece of Vacation Tracker, and we thought so too until we received a lot of chats and
Honestly
emails.
honestly, I completely understand them. Sometimes I'm
Okay,
just on my laptop at 12
okay,
AM trying to book my next vacation, and the dark mode really helps, like, with my
okay.
eyes, so
So
I
so
see where you're
there
coming from.
Okay, so there we go. So Kushi is the voice for all those many people that messaged us when we did this. And again, accidentally, we really didn't mean to remove the mode. We just didn't have it in the version 2 right away. So we quickly, of course, brought it back. So that is definitely something we can do. It's a small piece of Vacation Tracker, but again, I like to mention it because of the event that occurred a year and a half or 2 years ago. The next piece I think is kind of the most important part of Vacation Tracker, when it comes into the settings themselves, is the locations themselves. So when it comes down to locations, we can talk about specific cities, maybe provinces, states, countries, of course, continents. But it's also sometimes we have cases of companies that actually use this to mark different offices. We have some schools that are actually using this to mark different campuses. So this is definitely, even though we're naming it a location, it doesn't actually have to per se be the location, in a sense of a city or country. It can be just how you want to divide in Vacation Tracker the different policies and the different rules that may go according to that group of people. And so hence why we also see some companies dividing it by offices, because different offices actually get to have their own personalization. They have a minimum they have to fulfill of quota. Let's say maybe it's a minimum of 10 days that's legally required, but then every office kind of gets to allow a little bit of personalization, maybe a few days extra or so, according to their own rules. So the kind of main piece regarding the locations and the customization is there, where you have that divide. Of course, in each location, you can then set up different holidays if it is based on location, and different leave policies if it's based on different rules according to the location. But again, the idea that we named it location is kind of the most logical, but we are seeing a lot more and more companies use it in a for the same point, but in a different way. um, Inside of the locations, you are usually setting up the basics of the location itself, the working week. When does the leave quota reset based on? Is it based on accounting year? And when we say accounting year, we just mean any date throughout the year. It can, you can call accounting year, you can call calendar year. Different companies call it differently. Is it based on user employment date? Are you guys resetting the quota based on the user employment date? And so that would mean that they would reset based on whenever that user employment date is, and their quota would reset on that date the following year. Inside of the actual rules themselves, you also have the policy. So some of these leave policies, some of the rules of the leave policies, of course, that we set here, we set for the whole location, and of course they affect the whole location. So for example, a yearly leave quota of 20, that's something that we would set for the whole location. However, and we're of course going to get to this piece, which I think is the kind of most important part as well in vacation tracker when it comes down to customization, is the fact that you can customize the quota per user as well. And there's a couple of other scenarios that there's a couple of different scenarios when it comes down to user customization that we see. So it's either bonus days, or it's they actually have a completely different quota than other users. So again, we'll talk more into detail. When it comes down to customization, what do we mean in leave policies when we say customization? You are able to set up different rules. Again, you guys may already know some of these, and you guys may already have set some of these rules up, but you definitely we also see some companies that, for example, do get surprised by some of the options that they have in vacation tracker now. So to really quickly go over them: approval required. If you uncheck this option, it's going to be an auto approved leave, mostly used for working remotely. Of course, some companies generally have auto approval even for their PTO if they have a more flexible policy internally. Allowing negative balance: do you allow users to apply for more days than they have? In this case, if you do allow a negative balance, both the user and the approver should get notified, letting them know that the user is going over the amount, but the approver, of course, does have the ability to kind of to still approve. Unlimited quotas, setting up the quotas to be an unlimited amount. Again, um, something that we often see for other leave types, such as working remotely, but we are also seeing it more and more actually for PTO, vacation days. A lot more companies are turning towards the unlimited quota option as well. Shortest leave duration, something we recently, over the past few months, introduced a smaller time interval. So rather than taking a full day or a half day, you can also take 1 or 2 hours off. Currently, it's a cap. The maximum of the smallest leave duration is 1 hour. Um, Editing and requesting leaves in the past. Do you want to allow users to edit and request leaves in the past? They cannot remove their history, they cannot delete it, but they can maybe edit something in the past if they came back early from their vacation, or if, again, used mostly for sick leave if they're requesting a leave in the past, since you know your employees shouldn't know that they're going to be sick, so it would make kind of sense if they're requesting it for in the past. And then hiding leave type name. This is for this was a request from quite a bit of companies to introduce because they wanted to hide a leave type name for more sensitive leave types. Some companies like to hide leave type names of all of their leave types, so there's no explanation as to why anyone is away. They do see that the users are away, but the names are completely hidden, except of course for the admins who can still see that information. And some companies like to do it for a more sensitive leave types, such as personal leave or bonus days or something like that. And then reason required, another feature that we introduced based on quite a bit of request. Um, when you're requesting a leave, as you guys may already know, you have a reason that you can write out as a quick message. It used to be just optional. Now we allowed a setting that makes it mandatory as well. There's a lot of companies that want to use this. And again, It's not even just the companies who have a policy to make a reason required, but it's also companies that we're seeing this, for example, more and more. It's companies that will create a leave type, maybe like travel, like business travel, and they'll want to know where the person is traveling to. So they make reason required mandatory so that the employee knows that they need to write where they're going to be traveling to and so forth. So again, a lot of different ways that these options can be used for different cases. And then, of course, when it comes to accrual settings, spoke about that in our last webinar. The broad forward settings we mentioned as well. I mean, this is not really customization. This is more of setting up for that location, and there is a slight level of customization when it comes down to broad forward because of the different options that we offer. Because you can put a limit amount, you can definitely allow all of the days to roll over, but it doesn't really tie into the topic that we're covering today. As for the leave types and the leave policies, this is something that you can set up here for the whole location. But as we mentioned, of course, you can actually go to user's profile page and edit some of this information and customize a little bit of the user's profile. So we're going to go into an account. I don't think it really matters, but we're going to choose an account to go into here. And so, a few things to mention here on the user profile itself. We definitely did start allowing the option to edit the user's name. The reason why we allow this is because we noticed that, especially for the integrations such as Microsoft Workspace, Slack, what we noticed in these cases is that sometimes users will be imported. Maybe there's a person with the same name and last name. Maybe it's also that they're imported with an additional name and they just want to have it removed. So we allow this editing, but we only allow the editing one time. So when you are able to edit the user's name, you are only editing it the one time. The second time it's going to be locked, and because we've found that there is absolutely no need to change the name multiple times. And also, we're the reason why we're doing this has an additional reason to it. Honestly, it's because we're avoiding to allow for a user profile page to be renamed to another user, right? One time an edit would make sense if you're changing someone's name, but if you start using that user's profile for another user, that can be a problem because there's going to be a lot of history tied to that user that we don't remove, and that can cause a lot of confusions. Um, when it comes down to the working days, this is something that you can also customize per user. You're able to set up the working week if it's different from the actual location. We see this happen quite a bit, a lot as well, especially with part timers. So that you're able to set up a different working week, or we also see this happen in a lot of cases where there's going to be a specific amount of time that the user actually works a different setup of the working week as well. So this is also something that we know that happens as well. Under the leave quotas themselves, you are, of course, able to customize different leave quotas for different leave types. You can actually even customize in previous periods. We do allow customization of the quota itself, and a couple of things here to mention. So when you're customizing the quota, you're able to change the quota for the user for only the current year. We're seeing this in the cases of bonus days, of maybe some comp time. A lot of people using a leave type called comp time or time off in lieu, and just editing the quota and adding some of the days there for the user. When we're doing that, we're editing it only for the current year. We're not applying these changes for the future years, so that it can only affect this year and the quota for this year. If we have the other case, of course, also where an employee actually may have a different quota than the rest of the team, maybe they have negotiated a different term for their contract, or they are on a higher position in the same location, in the same group, and they have a higher amount of quotas. That's something that you can definitely change and definitely apply for the future years, so you can affect the following years as well. And so then we can see that change, of course, for the current year and all of the upcoming years as well. And I think that's kind of, again, one of the most important pieces when starting off in Vacation Tracker, but also when working inside a Vacation Tracker, the ability to be able to edit that quota per user and to be able to do that, a little bit of that, more of that customization inside of the actual leave types and per user as well. And of course, any changes that you make really quickly, especially when it comes down to these types of changes to settings, customization, anything that you may be changing, something that you may be moving towards, all of these changes are saved under the logs. Especially if you have a lot of admins, we kind of we introduce the logs for that specific reason. If there's more than one admin, it does give a chance to the admins to be able to see all of the changes that were made to the user account, especially for these types of customizations, right? And then also you can do the same thing under company logs to take a look at any customization that may be done to the actual locations or a department. That's something that you can filter through as well. So again, a few different things that you're able to do and you're able to see when it comes down to any type of editing, especially user editing, because always one thing to keep in mind in vacation tracker, any type of changes that you guys make, whether it's the main settings or to the users page, they definitely affect the calculations. The calculations won't be wrong, but they can be different depending on what kind of change you've made. So one thing to always keep in mind. And that's really the quick overview that we have when it comes down to customization in itself. One thing that I do want to mention about the users' quotas that and the changes that we've allowed. A lot of teams were actually also using the changing of the quota based on seniority based earning, which basically meant that if the user has worked in the company for 5 years, they have 10 days. If they worked in the company for 10 years, they have 15 days. If they worked in the company for 20 or more years, they have 20 days. And so a lot of teams have been using this option to edit the quotas and customize every time that there's an anniversary date. One thing to note is that we definitely are introducing seniority based earnings as a feature. We're already in the works, and we're hoping that we're going to be releasing it this year in the next few months, and that is going to allow admins to turn on a rule that's going to do all of that work automatically. It's going to be affected by the employee sense date, and on the anniversary of the employee sense date, on the anniversary of uh, the employee's anniversary on that date, 5 years in the future, they'll be able to earn an additional amount of quota. And it doesn't have to be just 5 years. You'll be able to customize that. You can have 2 years, 5 years. You can customize how many days they actually earn. We're definitely going to open that up to have quite a bit of settings there that you can change up, and you can make all of those changes that are going to fit your company better. We're also going to introduce a max number that they can earn based on this kind of seniority based earning, and so that's going to also be an important piece that I think again a lot of teams have been waiting for. So that's really been regarding the customization and the editing within Vacation Tracker. One really quick note that I want to mention is the calendar integration. That's the piece that doesn't really maybe fit into this topic today, but we just released it, and I want to make sure that you guys are aware of it. Maybe you've already seen the emails. So we did introduce the calendar integration. You can now actually connect your personal calendar and connect it over with vacation tracker. So the calendar integration, as you guys may already know, that we have is the sync with your calendar through iCal option, where you're able to connect our calendar to any calendar. It's going to be viewed as a shared calendar. So this is something that we already had, and you can of course still continue using this because the sync with this calendar, specifically this iCal sync, is going to have information about all of the users. What we introduced additionally after the sync with your calendar is something that you guys would have seen as well, which I'm going to share as well, and that's the requesting of the leave. When you're requesting a leave, that you're actually able to add that information to your calendar right away. So that's something you would have seen as a button at any of your requests. You guys probably already noticed that. That was kind of a step towards what we just introduced recently. It was a step towards introducing this kind of automated integration into an actual calendar. And so now you are actually able to connect your calendar, Google, Outlook, both at the same time, depends on what you have, by connecting and logging in to the actual into the actual account. One thing to really keep in mind is when it comes down to this integration itself, the users have to do it themselves. So the admins cannot do this for the users, unfortunately. It's not really up to us. It's because of Google and Outlook and their permissions themselves. So the users actually have to connect themselves for these for the calendar, and they have to accept the additional permissions to connect their calendar. What this is going to do is it's going to open up the option so that the user is able to um, connect into their calendar, and they are able to then have all of that information booked straight into their calendar. So if anyone's requesting um, um, a meeting with them, or if they're trying to reach out to them, sending out a booking or anything like that, their calendar, of course, is going to say that they're a busy. One thing to notice one thing to mention just for the actual admins, though, is that the busy setting is something the admins are actually going to be setting. So that's something that's under the leave types in the actual settings. So now when you go into edit any of the leave types, you have another option saying show this leave type as either busy or free. As of this moment in Vacation Tracker, you will probably see that the leave types are marked as busy. You can make them marked as free. That will affect all of the users, right? So if a user is connecting their calendar and is allowing all of these options that I'm showing you right now, um, and allowing us to connect to their calendar, that will mean that that leave type specifically will be marked as busy in their calendar. If you mark it as free, it's going to be marked as free. So please notice that that's going to definitely be an admin decision. As for the actual connection itself, that's definitely up to the user themselves. Okay. Once they connect, of course, they're going to have any bookings that they've made from that moment on after they've connected, they will see in their calendar. Please keep in mind, we are not yet adding historical data of the users. So once they connect their personal calendar, from that moment on, any new requests that get approved for them will be added to their private calendar from the moment that they connected. And that's basically it. Um,
That was quick. Very nice. Thank you so much, Kat, for the lovely presentation.
Thank you.
So, yeah, now that we've run through the calendar integration feature and everything else that is to know about customization in Vacation Tracker, we'll start by answering a bunch of questions. I already see a couple. So we'll dive right into that. We'll start off with Imran. He says, could you kindly implement role-based access control for users? Our requirement is to limit users' access to viewing only their own vacation quota and restrict their ability to see other users' vacation status on their dashboard. We would appreciate if you we would appreciate it if you could secure that feature.
So Imran, just to, I just want to confirm because of what you said regarding the own vacation quota. So we don't at this time show other users cannot see anyone else's quotas. That's always private information. The only thing that they are able to see, of course, is if any of the leaves are actually scheduled, and they can only see that the user is going to be away on the date. They cannot see this reason. This is private information, and they also definitely can't see the user's quotas. So I'm assuming because of that, that you probably already know that you're referring to maybe just completely hiding from users to be able to see other users' booked leaves. If that is the case, we aren't going to be doing that anytime soon, but it's definitely up for discussion with our team already for some time, because we have had that request before. So it is something that is definitely in discussion. We have it in our feedback, but not anything anytime soon when it comes out to hiding completely everyone's leave information so you cannot see when anyone else is away, if that's what we're referring to. As for the quotas, users should definitely not be able to see other users quotas. That's fully blocked in Vacation Tracker.
Um, Perfect. Hopefully that's a good enough answer for Imran. And the next question comes from Alvin. Alvin's asking, can users see other users' locations?
So yeah, I mean, technically speaking, they can, because they are able to filter by locations. So a user, they can't see the user's profile page, and they can't see the location settings or anything like that. But they could definitely, figure out where the person is if they really wanted to, because they would be able to see that, in the filter by. perfect example. If I filter by a specific location, I would be able to filter by and see who are the users who are going to be away from that location. So in a sense, they can kind of figure it out.
Perfect. Hopefully, Alvin, if that's good for you, please react with a thumbs up in the chat so we know it's a good enough answer. Then the next question comes from Maria. She says, "Hi, thanks for having these sessions." You're welcome, Maria. Can you please let us know how to see the departments in alphabetical order while viewing the list while filtering? For example, reporting selecting departments to include in the report. There's no order to the filter dropdowns currently. Thank you.
First of all, Maria, I mean, thank you guys for actually wanting to join these sessions. We're more than happy to have them because that really gets us to talk to you guys and get more feedback. Um, so I actually have a couple of questions here. So I'm gonna try my best to answer, but I'm also gonna ask a couple of questions to Maria. After this, maybe we'll send you an email to get a little bit more info from you, so we can continue the conversation later on. I only have a couple of questions because I'm trying to understand if you're trying to see the departments in alphabetical order inside of the dashboard, or are you referring more to the reports themselves when you're actually reporting, when you're actually pulling the reports? That's really kind of where my confusion is. As for alphabetical order inside of the online dashboard right now, you're right, we don't have that option yet. You aren't actually able to set it up. Um, is that something that we can introduce? I mean, I think that's a realistic request, and I think that's something we can discuss to possibly introduce not only to the department section, but maybe yeah, I mean, we can. Although again, when I look at the department section, I think that you already have it by the alphabetical. So again, I'm going back to the fact that I'm assuming it would be towards reports.
Maria
um
followed it up by saying only when filtering.
Only when filtering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I understand. So you're basically referring to if you're using the filter at any point and you're pulling out the reports. Let's do that right now. And you're pulling out the departments. If we're able to pull it through by department. Again, it's always we've always set it as alphabetical, even when you're filtering, because that's kind of basic. But I'm going to send you an email right after the call, and we'll ask you for some additional questions just so I can understand it a little bit better, because I think I'm just not catching what we need to do there, and I just don't want to. I know that right now you're not able to respond back to me and to clarify it. So I think it'll be better if I just send you an email and you just let me know if and again, give us a little bit of a breakdown of what you're trying to get at and what kind of information you're trying to pull, so I can have a little bit of an understanding there. If there
Yeah.
is something that's missing in the context of filtering or kind of organizing, we definitely let us, we'll talk more about it, and I think that that's something that's realistic that we can maybe introduce in the future.
Bora has like a follow-up comment to that that Maria may find helpful. She says that when I filter in the dashboard, it appears to show in order of when departments were created. They're not alphabetical for anyone. So maybe that might help answer Maria's question a little bit. But yeah, we'll follow up with you via email.
In the case that, again, and in the case that's the situation when you guys are filtering, and if that's the actual problem that we have, then I think that that's something we can talk about internally, if we can just change that instead of it's by creation, it's by alphabetical order. So I think now I'm a little bit clearer on what you need, but Maria, again, I'm gonna follow up just in case, to make sure that that is what we were talking about.
Perfect. So the next question is by Sari. She says, I don't see the 1 hour option for shortest leave duration. Is it only limited to certain plans?
It is. It is. The 1 hour option, for the smaller time intervals, is limited to the complete plan at this time. So that is something that you guys can also try out. If your team is interested in the smaller time interval, you can definitely reach out to us via chat, or via email. Let us know that you maybe want to test it out and see if it works, and we can let you test it out for about a week or two. And if it works, we can switch you over to the actual complete plan. There is also an additional option when it comes down to smaller time intervals, and this is something we can check with our sales team. I believe the sales team wanted to introduce something called add-ons, where we take one feature from the complete plan, not the accruals, but one of the smaller features, such as a smaller time interval, and we allow it even in the core plan with a less of a charge than it would be with the complete plan. But again, if you're interested in testing it out, and if this is something that you want to discuss more, definitely let us know via chat or via email, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. So the next question is by Josh. He says, "Is there an ability to auto increase quotas after X years of employment?" And then he followed it up with a perfect. So,
Yeah, that was
so I think that's been
yeah,
answered already.
yes.
Josh, let us know if you want any further clarification on that. But I think your question's been answered for the most part. Then the next question is again by Maria. She says, "To create a leave tab for low time and do not want it visible to employees to select, but want it visible in the calendar when employees schedule the time off, we would like loot time to be provided only by admins and visible in the calendar once an admin schedules a leave for an employee. Is there a way to do this? Thank
Okay.
you."
So Maria, one thing that I want to mention is we're actually in the midst of working on the time off in lieu feature. And so let me know if this is what makes sense to you. What we're currently kind of preparing and creating is an option for users to apply for overwork time, and for that to actually be approved almost like a request. And then if the approver approves that amount, based on the settings that the admin set, the additional quota of overworked hours will be added to the leave type of the admin's choice. Um, this is kind of what we're planning to introduce, so that and you'll be able to create a leave type called time off in lieu if you still like. But what we've noticed with a lot of companies is that it's not really a point of having an independent leave type. A lot of the companies just want to are using that as a workaround and just want to be able to kind of add that overwork time in in the already existing leave type, which is usually paid time off or vacation. So if this is what makes sense to you, um, definitely let us know. If you're thinking that maybe this way, which we just explained, will be a little bit of a problem for you guys when it comes down to time off in lieu, definitely also let us know so that we have your feedback for this feature as well, because we are literally in the midst of working on it and creating it. We're working off of everything that we've heard over the last year or two from feedback from our own clients, and that's how we're building it out. So to answer this specific question, no, you can't do that at this time. We aren't able to kind of block the leave type to be visible to anyone else from the drop down, because we are working on a time off in lieu feature itself. So we wouldn't probably do something like this. Um, Anyways, our focus really is to make an actual automated feature for you guys.
Perfect. So moving on to the next question by Erica. She says, "We offer a mental health day in the month of May only, and was wondering if there's a way to have a leave tab only available for that month, and then hide it so that they're no longer able to take a day out of that quota."
This almost seems similar, Erica, to what Maria asked in a sense. Like, can we have it, um, can we have it in the drop down, and or can we hide it from the drop down? So it's similar. I can understand why. You know, and Erica, here I would have an additional question. Is there a reason why you guys are not able to? Okay, because you guys are doing it for that 1 month. I
Only for the month
understand.
of May, I assume. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I understand for the month rather than for the year. You know what? It seems to be its own feature request that I think we can definitely talk about, where we would basically say, because we have to, again, like I said, the whole point of Vacation Tracker when we're creating these features is to make sure that it fits other people's needs too. So I'm just trying to think a little bit how others could use it for different leave types. What I think would maybe make sense in this scenario is to maybe create a feature where you have a um a leave type, and a quota specifically per month rather than per year. And that actually could be something that I can maybe also see other companies have a use out of, maybe to have a quota specifically for a specific amount of time rather than for the year as it is currently set up. Um, so you know what, we'll talk about this with the team and see if that's something that we can introduce, and maybe we can also talk to some other companies to see if they're interested in something like that, or if it would fit their needs. When it comes down to our future requests, as we've mentioned in the previous calls, and you guys, if you talk to us over chat and email, we definitely mentioned this a lot as well. We kind of focus on the highest requested features, and then of course anything that's a legal necessity. That's kind of where we go with the ones that get a priority. But we can definitely talk about this and see if this is something that we can do, and talk to some other teams to see if it's a good fit for them, how we can make this again customizable enough, but also to help you guys out.
Perfect. So the next question is by Shauna. She says, will there be a change to the way a user's leave balances are shown? They're shown now in days and hours, and they used to be just days. For
Yeah.
example, days, 6 hours, so on, so forth.
Yes, yes. So we introduced a change once we introduced smaller time intervals. And also it kind of made sense because of accruals, because they are earning per decimals. So what we introduced was just that maybe we assumed, at least maybe we were wrong, a clearer way for the users to see those kind of decimals, especially if they're accruing. Um, but from my understanding, you guys just want to kind of have the days shown without the hours. And I think that's a realistic request. We can see if we can have some sort of setting introduced in the future, um, to allow you to choose if you want to show that information in days and hours. One thing that I would definitely though ask here, Shauna, is would you then, if there's ever a decimal, and maybe in your guys' company it will never happen, but if there is a decimal point, if you guys are using accruals or anything like that, are you still willing to see the decimal points, or are you just wanting to see just rounded up or rounded down days? That would be kind of a follow-up question for that. Um, and again, if you want, you can definitely send that as an email as well, so we can continue the conversation after.
Perfect. So yeah, sorry says thank you. We'll be updating from core to complete. Happy to hear that.
Great to hear, Sari. Let us know if there's if you guys need any assistance for that. It's quite easy to do that in the billing page. You can easily switch over to the complete plan, and any admin can do that, of course.
Perfect. Moving on to another question by Erica. She says, when do you think you will introduce the ability to sign different approvers for each person in the same department?
Okay, so when it comes down to the approvers, what we're currently working on is, along with time off and low toil, is multi-level approvals. So what we want to introduce is the option, the ability to be able to assign multiple approvers to one department, and then to have it go through levels, right? So, for example, if Khushi requests a leave, it has to be approved by me, and then it has to be approved by Alexandra, and so on and so forth, right? Or the request has to be approved by two out of the three approvers, or whatever it may be. That's the kind of setup that we're looking at right now. We're not looking into the option of assigning different approvers for each person in the same department. What we would kind of offer there for a workaround is to create departments based on the approval process itself. So rather than maybe creating the department based on support, sales, we would tell you to create it more on who's going to be their approver. Um, and so what we've seen with companies that do that is they'll either rename the department according to the person who's their approver, or they're going to create a couple of the departments for one. So it'll be design one, design two, or support one, support two, in order to divide the approval process in that sense. Because we don't really have any plans in the future to do kind of a approvers in a smaller bucket in the department.
Perfect. So hopefully, Erica, that answers your question. Let us know if it did by reacting with a thumbs up. The next question is by Shar. Apologies if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. His question is, when will we be able to customize the leaves with milestone? For example, 5 years, add 1 week, etc.
That's the seniority. Yeah, that's a seniority based earning. Ideally, we hope, we want to release it this year anyways. We're just hoping it's going to be in the next couple of months. We are working on it. Definitely going to be an option. It's going to be part of the complete plan, just as a note.
Perfect. So the next question is by Josh. He says, can we mix daily leave and hourly leave? It seems right now it is one or the other in settings.
Yes, it is. It is currently divided um because of the setup of the actual calculation. But it is on our roadmap to see if we can allow a mix, not even just of the of the daily and the hourly leave, but we're also seeing if we can actually allow um, what we're trying to figure out is how to allow users to actually request, maybe let's say I'm requesting Monday and Tuesday, and then I also want to request in the following week, Wednesday, Thursday of the same leave. So it's kind of a mix. It's not this mix of different leave types, but it's a mix of days and more customizations there. And I think this is something that could possibly be added into that conversation. So we'll definitely talk about it and see how we can do it. And it's already been something that we've discussed internally, to see if we can make that improvement in the future. It's definitely in the talks.
Perfect. So, another follow-up comment by Maria. She says, "I would love to provide feedback on this new feature. Please email me so I can provide the feedback to the correct channels." Perfect.
Sounds good, Maria. We'll send an email, and then to that email, just let us know if there's anything additional besides the time off in lieu as well, that we want to talk about.
Perfect. So the next question by Alvin, he says, I want to create a specific leaf type policy for a user, but only have that leaf type option available for that user and not available in the drop down for other users due to confidentiality. From what I can hear, the only workaround is to create a new location for that user. But then that might be suspicious as I currently have CAN for senior employees with additional vacation days in Canada for other employees. I don't want to create another location and potentially arise suspicion among users.
Understood. Understood. Um, here, Alvin, if you could, this is something that I would like a little bit more information on, just so I can understand. And if you can send us an email about this, that would be great, and we can continue the conversation there, just so I can have a little bit more of an understanding regarding the leave type policy. So I'm assuming it's not a quota thing. From what my understanding is, it's more tied to the different policy. But I would love to know what kind of leave type this is and what kind of policy this is that you're trying to differentiate, because to be honest, my feedback for this would definitely be create a different location, and rather than naming it maybe Canada, I would just name the locations maybe differently so that it doesn't arise suspicion in that sense, so that you have it maybe set up differently, or whatever, maybe technically speaking you could also set up all the locations named the same way, with a little bit of a difference here and there, maybe with maybe with a one or a two, and you can just say it's that you had to divide it that way, instead of the settings of vacation. You can blame it on us, is basically what I'm saying. Just say you had to do it that way, and vacation tracker is being stubborn. But definitely send us an email, and just let us know what you're trying to differentiate. Um, because that's what I would say. I would say definitely different locations. That's the only way right now. And maybe we can think of something for the future.
Perfect. Alvin, hopefully that answers your question. If not, then let us take the blame and email us. So we'll be on the lookout for your email. The last question we have today is from Erica again. She says, can we have different manager approvers within a department?
So I am going to assume, can we have different manager approvers within a
In a
department?
department.
Erica, I'm gonna assume this was related to the approvers, um being approvers of different users in
Yeah.
one department. If it is, again, it's going to be no at this time. The only kind of divide that you could do is divide departments, the way that I said, rather than having support, but focus it more on the actual approval flow. So as for multi-level approval, if by any chance that's what you're referring to, that is something that we're going to introduce. You will be able to have multiple different levels of management as approvers in one department. But that's what we're focusing on. We're not really focusing on allowing different managers to be approvers for different groups of users.
Perfect. So I think that wraps up all the questions we have. I don't see any more active ones on the chat. So,
Right. Okay.
yeah,
If you
perfect.
guys have anything additional or any additional questions, definitely let us know via chat, via email. Please, if you haven't voted on the polls, so that we can make sure that, first of all, that this call is actually helpful. Second of all, that we have any other topics that we need to cover in the future, and so we kind of know in which direction to go. We try our best to make these calls as useful for you guys as possible, and of course also to be able to take the time to go through these questions. So if we haven't had a chance to maybe cover something that you want to talk about, definitely, first of all, let us know via chat, via email, but also join at our next webinar in June. We're going to send out an invite as we always do, and let you know what the next topic is going to be, and then we can chat a little bit more about that as well. And I mean, I think that's it. We've covered everything.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you guys for generally the interest in vacation tracker, in these webinars, in these calls. We're so happy. Um, we're really happy to have you guys as our clients. So again, let us know if there's anything else, and enjoy the upcoming weekend and enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you at the next one.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.